And welcome to the show. It is the Four Horsemen riding hard and riding high, riding pride. Proud as you know what tonight. We can safely say that we have a new president, President Joe Biden, and Vice President Kamala Harris. I don't know about you guys, but it was hard to hold back the tears of joy and all of the frustration. And to be honest with you, I was tired as hell because I could not go to sleep. I would fall asleep on the sofa in a chair, in the bed, and wake up 10 minutes later hoping for a conclusion that didn't happen. And I think most Americans, whether you voted for the Democrat or the Republican, you were doing the same. You were standing by hoping that your team would win. Well, there could only be one winner and one loser. You know who the loser is, right?
Yeah.
Just, okay. Anyway, that's the way that worked out. And it is what it is. Let me bring in the crew here to my left, Chris Bass.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, Chris. How you doing?
Boom shakalaka. How you doing, Lee? How you doing to the other horsemen as well?
That's right. All good. And the Professor Micheals.
How are you? Way to go, team.
That's right.
We pulled it off.
We did. I mean, this is it's exciting for me. And I know for most people around the world, even some of the foreign countries have come in. What are you doing back there? No need to try to go low now. Forget about it. You busted. What the hell? Closing my window. Why? Okay. Dr.Ron, welcome to the show.
Yes. It's hard to follow something like that, man. It's hard to follow something like that. I tell you, that's all I got to say. You bring me in after that, I don't even know what to say after that.
Me either. Good trouble, right?
Good trouble, exactly.
Lord have mercy.
Yes.
That's all I can say.
Yes.
Well, tell me how you feel and what do you think of the results? Did you think we were going to win?
Well, since everybody's waiting, I'm going to say it like this. The very first night, when we were at this for 6+ hours, I had my doubts. I was like, man, it don't look good. And then you went and used the bat phone and called, whoever you called and came back on the air and told us it ain't over yet. We got it going on. It's getting ready to happen. Everything is going to shift our way. Then I got encouraged again. I was a little, doubtful at first. It was just doubtful at first. And then, as the days began to progress, I started, seeing hope and glimmers of light. And then I realized that, man, this game was really far from being over. And I was glad to see that, we ended with a very, very strong momentum to take us to where we are now, the president-elect. And man, it was spooky at first. I'm not gonna say it wasn't. So it's a good thing you got a bat phone, Lee.
Well, I know people in low places, so
man.
The time going on in the background.
Yes, sir.
I'm really happy to see that people are out celebrating and not causing any hate and discontent and destroying property. You can have a good time and celebrate and express your joy for the outcome of the election without destroying property. Now, just hope that if the celebration continues, I hope it stays that way, and I hope that it's not infiltrated by the people who don't want to see this country happy and prosperous and moving forward and leaving the negativity behind. Here's what I think, guys, and I'd like to hear what your thoughts are on this topic. I think they should go ahead and give him North Carolina, Alaska, and give him Georgia. No, don't give him Georgia. Just give him North Carolina and Alaska. So maybe that'll make him somewhat happy, or his ego won't be so badly bruised, and he will go ahead and do the right thing and concede and not go through a whole lot of legal battle. Because, in my opinion, based on everything that I have heard and seen, there's no upside to the legal battle. It's not going to reverse anything. It's not like all of a sudden Joe is not going to be the president-elect. That's not going to change. There's no evidence to prove that something like that should happen, or we should do a revote. That would be nuts. But see, the only people in a situation like this are the winners, are the lawyers. So Boo Boo the Fool is spending all of his money with his legal team and hiring new lawyers every day to fight this situation, and the results are going to be the same. Mm-hmm. So my message to our current president is: be a good sport, be gracious, take the hit, and move on with your life, like every other president we've ever had. But that's my opinion. Let me go with Chris. What's your thought?
Well, I said it before about the so-called president. He will not go quietly into the night. His ego and personality cannot handle that. He is still in denial. He still wants that frivolous lawsuits starting tomorrow with all these things going on, because he's in denial. He's golfing. He does what he does best, if you call it that, and not make it about the people or the reality. Is reality as he sees it. Before we hit here at 8 o'clock, right after Central Time here in Chicago, I was watching CNN, and Wolf Blitzer was on with author Bob Woodward, his raging book about rage about the president. And so one of the questions Wolf asked him was, how do you think the president would take in stride to concede? And he said he doesn't have it in him to concede. Going back to interviewing the president back in February of this year, he made it about himself. And I quote, "Oh, look what it's done to me." It's going back to the course of the pandemic and COVID-19. "Look what it's done to my reelection chances." Not about the people, not about people suffering or dying. He makes it about himself, as always. So he is not going to go anywhere. He's going to continue to fight it. These frivolous lawsuits. It's a colossal waste of time. But this is what he does. He's in straight denial. And he will not even try to concede, because it's not even in his nature to do so.
And I agree.
Me too.
Okay, Dr. Ron, let me hear your in-depth details.
Well, Chris hit it on the head. He ain't got it in him. This guy was on the golf course, over the weekend when the information came in that they called it against him. So, his ego is so huge, that he doesn't even, he still thinks he's got a mathematical chance to win this. Okay. And both political parties have said, Republicans and Democrats, it's the election process, period. Okay. You got to let people count the votes. Don't make it worse than what it is. Chill out, be a man about it. I was looking at Fox on Saturday, and Fox said, look, it would be a very nice thing for number 45 to call number 46 before he goes up on that stage and offer his congratulations and offer him a hand, a friendship. And he didn't do it. He won't even consider doing it. This thing is going to, like you said in the beginning, it's going to have lawyers that are going to be getting paid continuously, trying to find something wrong with the way Pennsylvania did their job, and try and push this thing, to his disgrace even more. That's all it's going to do. It's just going to cause more disgrace on him. This guy, he ran his whole presidency like this, though. It's either my way or the highway, whatever I say, and that's been his attitude since day one, so I don't see him doing anything on the way out any different than what he did the whole time he was in.
Yeah, I agree with you. We should not expect a change in his personality and his attitude. Why? Why should we expect that? Professor, what's your spin?
Oh, thank you. Thank you. And I'm gonna try to, I'm gonna be cool about this. Because I do want to say something, but I'm not going to say it. And I wish that something would come up that I didn't know. I mean, like, Dr. Ron, tell me something I don't know. Bass, tell me something that I didn't know or didn't expect. We determined that this cat was going to do the opposite of everything when we talked last. We call him Trizaro. So I'm gonna leave it there. But what was, what's gonna be is gonna be. January 20th, he's out of there. He's out of there. He's out of there. But what I'm more concerned about was, and I did a whole weekend thing. I talked about the women. I talked about the Black sisters, the women. There are 3 women that are out there right now, man. That's and this one, the one on we got Kamala. Lee, I sent you an email because I want you guys to look at this image. But Lee, I sent you an email with this JPEG. It's just called Part 01, but it's a JPEG. And this JPEG has the first little black girl. It's like a silhouette, and then it has Kamala walking in, and then what I see is the first black girl going into the schoolhouse, and I see the first black woman going into the White House. I see that image. That image is there because I got a little daughter. So whatever 45 is, I'm done with this dude. I'm done with him because it's time for us to move forward. And as I said last week, we got these cards on the table. We cannot expect 46, Mr. Biden, to do everything for us. One thing that I did see that was revealed is that we are a voting bloc when we know that we're a voting bloc.
Mm-hmm.
When we know that. And so those sisters, and then at first, guys, last week I said, well, yeah, we don't have a Messiah, but the Messiah was there. It wasn't a Messiah movement, and with that image that you see, that man, you talking about the first sister, first
that's
little
a hell
girl,
of a story, right?
Man, that's powerful. So the Messiah was there, and they didn't see it. They did not account for that at all. They didn't have, and plus there was no comeback that they could make towards that anyway. And them sisters, they was quiet. Nobody said nothing. They just walked with a big stick. They walked silently with a big stick.
It's like a
And
quiet storm.
Man, that lady Stacey Abrams, man, my hands go up to her because see that she's gonna lead the balance in the Senate. So they're gonna turn Georgia. They're gonna turn Georgia. They're gonna get those two seats that they need.
The runoffs, yeah.
Yeah, and so man, I don't give a blank about this. You understand? This is what I'm looking at right now, and this is how I feel right now. Because I felt all along that we were going to win. Because Base, you tired of him. Ron, you tired of him. Lee, I know you tired of him, and I'm tired. We were all tired of him. There's only so much that we could take, but the people in his camp, they overplayed their hand. They didn't see this image here. They overplayed their hand. So, my hat goes off to the city of Philadelphia, to the AKAs, and to women, and especially the black women. All the people that came from the HBCUs, because they got galvanized, man. They got galvanized. And it's reflective of how Mr. Obama moved into his. So that was a good move by Mr. Biden to add that woman to the ticket.
Yeah. Now, let me throw a question out there. So we're in the happy seat right now because 45 didn't win. But what do we say to all the people of color that supported 45, going forward? What do we say to them? Okay, I know people are jumping on them. I've seen things on social media where they jumping on them. They call them out by name. But that was their choice. They thought that was the best move for them and their family. Okay, so what do we say to them?
Well, I think as an American, I think we should reach out and extend an opportunity for them to lower their rhetoric and embrace the American ideal of we're all one. United we stand. It's the United States of America. Yeah, I know every Democrat that I can remember in my lifetime, from Kennedy until today. I mean, I remember Dwight D. Eisenhower, but he was a Republican. I always hear the Democrats extending the olive branch. Rarely do I hear that message from the Republican side. And I think with all that we are going through with the COVID-19, with all the racial tension, the economic downturn, and the environmental issues that we have, and everything else that goes along with it, just all the tension and stress that everybody's going through, we need to lay down our swords. We have a new president-elect. Whether you like it or not, we need to embrace him. Just like, we had to embrace Bush. We had to embrace Trump. I didn't like him from day one because I didn't think he was qualified or the right person for the job. So it's been hard for me to wrap my arms around him and say, you are my president, when I knew he was not qualified. I knew that he had too many skeletons in his closet. And I saw that he was a very selfish person, and I knew he would be first and we would be somewhere down the line. He's first, his family second, then maybe we might be there, or maybe all of his business associates. But the American people were never first on his list. There was too much ego coming out of him. So I say to the 70 million and counting people who voted for Trump. Let's let it go. The election is over, and we need to come together and fight this virus. And if you believe that not wearing a mask doesn't matter, look at the map. What did we hit? Another 126,000 infections detected today?
Yep.
2 days row at that number. And some are predicting that we'll hit 200,000.
Yeah.
Folks,
It's about to get worse. It's about to get worse. It's about to get worse.
Yeah. Yeah. I just gave these numbers earlier. Yeah, earlier today. 10 million cases of corona confirmed today. 241 plus thousand people died already. Okay. I just gave those numbers today. I just happen to have them here. So, I mean, we're still dealing with a serious pandemic. But, I was, not so much the full 70 million people. I was mostly focused on the Black folks. Okay. The people of color.
I got
because, we make mistakes all the time, Sometimes, we have to rally around the people that are the color that we are, because we want to strengthen our position. So, and I'm just throwing a number out there. If you figured 10% of that voted for him, or 20% of that voted for him, we got to embrace them and get them to understand what we understand. You know what I'm saying? We need to get them to understand what we understand, so our base can be that much more powerful and that much more, with 20% more, because this thing is not over with. We still got a lot more to do, and it's a lot more work to do. And we need all the soldiers we can get. That's kind of like, and y'all tell me if I'm wrong. Okay. When they had the battle between the North and the South, they had people of color that was fighting on the side of the South, even though they benefited, from the North winning, but they didn't know that they were going to benefit at the time the war was going on. You follow what I'm saying?
It wasn't on their mind because you had to do it.
Right. Exactly. So
you were drafted.
Exactly. So I'm like right now, we need to get them some more information so they can understand. You shaking your head, Professor. What's the matter, Professor? Come on now.
Those the people, the Black people that supported Mr. Trump. I mean, they just supported Mr. Trump, and I'm cool with that. I'm really cool with that. And you got your mind to do that. Okay, but now you do know that your support for Mr. Trump has ended. I mean, or your benefits from supporting Mr. Trump has ended. And it's like when I see on one of the networks or one of the cable channels, when I see they bring in these Black talking heads that support the Trump agenda. For example, Leo Terrell, the civil rights attorney. And, I'm sitting up cracking up because that stuff is staged. That's staged. And this guy got paid. And I'm not mad at anybody that's getting paid for the position that they deal with. I'm not mad at nobody. But here's the thing. We're not going to see or hear from them any longer because they are of no use now. See, you only use for the time being. I mean, we could go down the list and find out and list of Black folks that are, that we got more credit than them. We got Tavis, Cornell. Well, you can go down the list. The folks are not getting paid no more for having their political agendas. And once it's like you one and done. If Mr. Trump had won, those supporters would be in power. They would still be getting cheese. But either they got to come to the other side or they got to play like they want to come to the other side if they still want to get cheese. Otherwise, they're gonna have to do what they want to do. I mean, do what they have to do to support and survive the family. So I ain't mad at them. And plus, supporting an opposite candidate of what I've supported or Democrat, that's nothing new. James Brown, Sammy Davis Jr., we could go historically. That's just something that happens. They need to have those faces to convince the rest of us that, well, it's all right to go in this direction. But that didn't work because they miscalculated those few tokens because them sisters was in the trenches, man.
Oh, I agree. Yeah, I totally agree.
They was in the trenches, man. They could have got 10 paid endorsers, And I'm glad you got that money, but they're not gonna get that money no more. They're done. What you gonna do now? I mean, what you call that, political pimping, or what is that? You prostituting yourself for the agenda of whichever candidate. What happened to the two big girls that was for Trump? Where they at?
Well, he kicked them to the curb. I don't know what the reason was. Maybe they were asking for more money.
Okay.
You're fired. I don't know, but that's probably what it was. They got a little too big for them, for their real true value.
Yeah,
that could be it. We have had a couple of chat room comments. I want to go back here and acknowledge. Was it Iconic Limo Services says we need Georgia? Yeah, we do. There's that message again. And Ernest Bright, who happens to be an old friend of mine, we grew up in Norfolk, Virginia, next door to each other. My mom was like his mom, and his mom was like my mom. And I'll go on and on and on that one. But Ernest is like a brother from another mother. And he says, let's be like our name, the United States. And that's what we have to get to, because you got to look at this virus as like we're in World War I or World War II or some major conflict like that. And we have to come together, band together, and respect and protect each other. If you don't wear a mask, you're endangering my life. If I don't, I'm messing you up. So if we everybody does the right thing, we can get past this thing. We can lick it. We can kill it. But we've got to work together. Everybody's got to be on the same page. It's not about being Democrat or Republican. It's about life and death.
Right, and being human. So we've all seen how they've been able to successfully make it political. Oh, it's my right not to wear a mask, and it's my right not to social distance the whole night. They made it political, and the ones that bought into it. Yeah. And going back to what Dr. Ron was asking about, those who supported Trump, people who are Black supported Trump, always say to people, see, media speaks to me in a certain way, and I parallel to real life. So remember the opening scene in Harlem Nights at the crap table? Remember the guy with the tooth? Come on, sister, your funky ass. This dude. So he craps out, and Sugar, played by the late great Richard Pryor, it was like, you lost. We would have paid your money, but you lost. Now go home and brush that, that snaggle ass tooth of yours. You lost. So as far as I'm concerned, Richard Pryor is Joe Biden, and that big snaggletooth bastard, that's Trump. You lost.
Should we rub it in their faces?
Absolutely not.
I would say not. That's how my mind works. That's how my parallel works. Now, if you put me in a room with a Trump supporter and he or she is going like that, I gotta give it back to you. No offense. See, I can't sit there and everybody's mentality is just different. Some people could be calm and cool and go along. I can't rock and roll like that. So I of the mindset, if you're gonna give it to me, I'm gonna give it back 10 times over. Now that's how I rock and roll.
Yeah.
Well,
I
I
get
don't know.
that.
I don't have the ultimate answer to healing this country at this point, other than we've got to work on it. We got to want to win collectively. We want to work on the idea that we need to get our kids back in school safely when it's appropriate, not rushing kids back to school because the president wants to look good for the election. Well, the election is over. You lost. We had the biggest turnout in history, biggest turnout ever. Great. People got engaged. I'm happy to hear that. The fact of the matter is, there was a difference between Team A and Team B. Team A won. Okay, and whether it's 74 million to versus 70 million, it doesn't matter the number. Every election generally has been a little bit higher, other than this last one, 2016. But there's typically growth each time because more and more people get engaged. More and more people were engaged this time because of all the dynamics involved, mainly the virus, and that kicked off the downturn in the economy. To hell with the stock market. That's not the economy. That only affects people who are buying into the stock market. So when people start losing their jobs permanently, temporarily, businesses closing up, the small businesses in America represent the majority of the employers, okay? That's who hires the most people. Yeah, there are companies like, some of the major companies that hire thousands of people, but there's only a handful like that. So it's the small little corner stores that hired 4 or 5 people, and there's, 5 million of those. It adds up. Well, those guys are going out of business or gone out of business. And that's what we've got to worry about. We got to worry about how to bring our local economy back in place. Without that, people in the various local, the regional areas are going to suffer big time. So
yeah. Now there's there was a strategy that was put in play some decades ago that they used to talk about. Well, we got to have some blacks on both sides. Blacks in the Republican Party, blacks in the Democratic Party. That way, whichever party wins, we got representation as people of color. So do you all think that's outdated?
No. Yeah, you're going, Professor. Go ahead.
No, I don't think it's outdated, but here I go. I'm a conspiracy theorist, right? Here I go again, right?
Yes, sir.
Here I go. Here I go again. Why is it that, it's good for us to play the game, but why is it that we always have to play that game? We should be starting our own game. We should be starting our own game. And then we should build up our game to where it's just so strong that they want to come after our support. And then one of the first things that I'm saying, I say this on my program every day, we can't put everything on Joe Biden and what he's going to do. What we got to do ourselves is to get the resolve to start making every person that asks for our vote, that comes after our vote, they must be accountable to the people. This election was a referendum by the people. This was people power. This was the Shalites, for God's sakes. We got to give more power to the people because we took it. We took it. We came at it. We didn't get out there and get in no arguments and nothing. Them sisters, they went in the trenches. And so now we got to go to listen, Mr. Congressman, would you please let me know what you're doing? Mr. Senator, would you please let me know what you're doing? My daughter wants to know, Mr. Congressman, are you doing things to ensure her future or doing things in her best interest? These are the things we have to ask, because in 2 years, there's going to be another round of elections, and we need to keep tabs on what these folk are doing. And when they're not doing what they're supposed to, as a voting bloc, we need to tell them, yo, if you want this, you got to come down with this. And see, we're not saying that. See, they can start throwing disinformation at us and all this kind of stuff to get us off, and we point fingers. I'm pointing the finger at Base pointing the finger at Ron pointing the finger at Lee, and all of a sudden we all confused while they still sliding through their agenda. That is what has to stop. That has to stop. And we must realize that the single most powerful entity in the American political system is called the voting bloc. And that doesn't mean we have to be mindless. We all have to think, no, but we do have to. If the majority of us, if the ceiling for money was $1,000 and the majority of us only got $25, then we need to work together and hold our $25 and not imagine that we got that $1,000 or we in that 1 or 2%. We can't do like that. The organized people will handle organized money. We just saw that.
Mm-hmm. Right. And change starts with you as an individual, and then change starts from that going out. Fox News has a program called Outnumbered that airs every day. One of the anchors on there is an African-American woman named Harris Faulkner. So a few months ago, Harris Faulkner interviewed Donald Trump. And she was talking to him about the dog whistles that Trump has when it comes to not denouncing white supremacy, about giving them a free pass, things like that. And she was saying that her son, an African-American male, can be pulled over by a racist cop, and God knows what happens to her son possibly. So I watched the whole interview, and I was like, don't be black now. Don't be black now. Because of your son, you're on a program on a daily basis, Monday through Friday, promoting what Trump was doing all the time. Now all of a sudden it hits home. Now all of a sudden you want to have a heart, you want to care, but you didn't think about that getting your paycheck. You didn't think about that being on a daily basis. No matter what the president was wrong, you want to co-sign on it, and now all of a sudden you want to be offended by what Trump is doing because of your African-American son. Don't be black now. My point is, you have to be careful of who you lie down with or who you are in bed with. And all of a sudden, wait a minute, I come up with fleas. You knew the dog laid down the dog. So don't all of a sudden want to get, I got fleas. You know what the damn dog was, you laid down with it. All of a sudden these moral high grounds come to mind. All of a sudden these people, oh, you're going to get it now, but it's all right to get it and not get it before. These people, no matter what side of the aisle, you have to really take a good look at.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So I 100% agree with what the professor is saying, that we have to hold our local and regional politicians accountable. We got a lot of work to do. We need to hold their feet to the fire starting from day one, like right now. We need to let them know that what we expect, and not sit back and wait on them to come to us and start asking us questions, because that'll never happen. We need to put demands to them like right now and not wait till the next election, because some of these people are going to be up for re-election in 2 years. So they can get some things done between now and the next 2 years. We got, justice reform should be a priority on everybody's agenda right now. Like trying to save more lives, with Corona, that should be on everybody's agenda. And if we've got something that can add to that, then we need to do it. Let me do this before we go on to the conversation any further. If you just tuned in, You're listening to the Street News Now broadcast. We are finally closing out the election. We know who the winner is, and we finally coming together to put our final commentary on this. We started out on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We skipped Friday. We know that the president was called on Saturday, and today is Sunday. We are putting our final commentary on this, and we appreciate each and every person that has been hanging with us through this process. We have the legend, Mr. Lee Micheals. We also have my brother in broadcasting, Mr. Chris Bass. And we also have the professor, Mr. Reggie Miles, and myself, Dr. Ron. And, you know, the work is just beginning. It's not over. And I think we need to come together and keep the battle cry going. Okay, it's dancing in the street going on all across the country, from New York to California. That's beautiful. Enjoy the moment. But guess what? This is just the start. We still got so much work to do. You know, don't get tired of dancing and go sit down and don't do nothing else.
That's right.
You know, and then sit up there and complain, oh, well, they ain't did nothing for us. You know, I listened to some of the people that were openly Trump supporters, and they complained that, oh, we fell for the rope-a-dope. You know, we fell for the banana in the tailpipe, you know, by voting for Biden, because Biden has a history, you know, of doing so many bad things in the past. Well, you know, I'm gonna kind of, you know, go with, you know, like a page out of the book, you know, the good book, the Bible. It says, ye without sin cast the first stone. Everybody got something in their past. A page out of the book, you know, the good book, the Bible, you know. So my whole attitude is, you don't want to be held accountable for every time you broke somebody's store window. You know, that's that boy that broke the store window. Every time they see you, they constantly throwing that up in your face. So sometimes we gotta move on, okay? And we know what 45 was about, okay? You know, as Lee said a little while ago, the dog whistle, you know, he gonna blow the dog whistle and the dogs are gonna come running, okay? And we know what the dogs, when they show up, what they about, you know? And that's not nothing good for anybody of color. So, you know, it's a fresh opportunity right now, you know, and it's a lot of work that needs to be done. We ain't far, we ain't nowhere near close to the end of the race, you know, because I look at what Lee got on his shirt right now, good trouble, you know. And we got to understand that we got to get some more good trouble out there. We're going to have to still protest. We're going to have to still let our requests be known. Otherwise, you know, hey, you know, we in the same boat, you know, and I don't want to stay in the same boat. I want to make things better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can express our difference of opinion but be respectful of each other.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a number of protests, you know, prior to the election day, when there were Trump supporters on one side of the street and Biden on the other side, and then there were occasions when they clashed and got physical with each other. Hey, folks, it's very important for us to exercise our First Amendment right, but you should never, ever take it to the level where you got to get physical. That's over the top. It doesn't accomplish anything. It just further drives a wedge between us. Okay? We can agree to disagree.
Mm-hmm.
Go in that voting booth and vote your conscience, your choice, based on the information that you know to be true. Keyword, true.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that what you think is real is real. Don't go by somebody's tweet or some off-brand blog or so-called publication because people have a hidden agenda. You don't know who owns these publications.
Right,
You
Lee.
don't know who's behind all of that. It could be a foreign entity. It could be Russia.
Right.
Mhm.
It could be China. It could be anybody.
Media
And-
literacy is important right now.
It is. It is.
It is very important now, because it's been too many times. It's been too many times that people that I know, and I work with, and when they want to tell me, or when they want to express to me that just because they saw it on television, that is true.
Mm.
Yeah. I always ask the question, where did you get that information from?
Right.
What's the
Right.
source? And they look at me like, I got it on the internet. Well, but I don't know.
and knowing who owns what is really, really important. I looked at the internet. I was looking at an international channel, right? And they were talking about media ownership and how things were being reported. In Australia, they are now trying to craft laws to stop Rupert Murdoch's monopoly.
Mm.
They seen his monopoly here in America, and they don't want that monopoly over there where they are. And they're trying to craft laws. They're tired of big money having control to do everything what money says that should be done, or they call that that marketplace theory. So the market says that sex, gang violence, and rap music, all that stuff sells, but yet and still you got the culture of young people spiraling down.
Yes.
And here's the thing, and because of the marketplace theory, right? Because that's what they say the market wants. There's no balance.
Mm-hmm.
There's no balance. And now I don't mind. And I want everybody, if you say that you want to have those things on there, that's fine. But if you have that one, then there should be an opposite to balance it out, to give people more choices. It's like the guy from in Australia, they don't want Rupert Murdoch there because they don't want opinions to be put off as news.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we've had. We've had a constant diet of that here in America for the longest. That some people today don't know they don't know what propaganda is. They don't know what disinformation is. They don't know what misinformation is. And so we have to raise our levels of media literacy. We got, and I guess that might be incumbent upon us to start, sharing how to look for things. Lee mentioned that, when Lee mentioned, do you know who owns this stuff? Of course, Fox is going to have the slant that they have because they were owned by Rupert Murdoch, who was a staunch Republican. And CNN, it's MSNBC, they got the progressives. So everybody has their position. You need to know that. You need to know where it is, and then you could just take a little bit here and a little bit of there and just be able to go through it all. But this tunnel vision, or this one side of mind, especially with the Mr. Trump, with the Cesaro supporters, they got this tunnel vision that everything that comes out of the talking heads, the Cesaro pundits like Mr. Hannity and Tucker and them other cats, you got people believing in that mess. They got them believing in that mess. And I just hope that it doesn't, that disinformation, or I'm still in the election, doesn't add logs to this rage that some of these people subtly have in them, because then they'll start being violent.
That's true.
And we can't have that.
With the authorities caught these guys that were going to go up to Delaware from Virginia. Where do you think that notion came from? Why would these people decide to go up there and try to. No, they were going to Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania, trying to get into the polling place.
The vote. Stop the counting of the votes. I mean that.
Yeah,
it's fueled by the fool in the White House.
Yeah. Look, let me give everybody a perfect example of what the professor just said. When me and Chris Bates first met, our very first time being on the radio, we picked up a story off of the internet that we carried for 3 weeks. Okay. The story was that in this little small town, this lady had got impregnated by a corpse and that she was suing the family of the dead person for child support. Okay. Now we picked this story up off the internet. Okay. And of course, that made excellent radio. We rode with that story for 3 weeks because Chris came back because we wanted to know the conclusion of the matter. And we talked about it every week. We had so many spins on it. Now, we didn't make the story up. This was something that we picked up off the internet. Now, the crazy part about it was I called the county jail of this town to find out, was the lady still in jail? Because, you know, in most places in the United States, having sex with a dead person is against the law, let alone, you know, getting impregnated. I mean, we had broke down the science of bodily fluids when a person died. I mean, we was all into this story and we carried it. We carried it. So I'm like, when I call the police department or the jail of that area, they finally told me that was a fake story. Okay. Now we had been reporting it for 3 weeks. Okay. We had been following the story and people was all over us, man. They were like, man, y'all guys really carried it. And then we had to come back and correct everything and say it was fake. The whole entire story was made up. You know, they actually, and I'm going to give this tidbit of information. There is a website that will tell you if an internet story is fake or not. You just got to do the actual research, type it in, look it up, and it will tell you whether it's fake or not. But we had so much fun with the story. I mean, Chris and I had a ball, you know, talking about all the options that nobody else in the town, you know, looked good enough to her to have a baby with, but this dead dude. I mean,
got knocked up by a stiff.
Yeah, but I mean, like, man, but I just wanted to give an example. That's a perfect example.
Most people are not aware of what that story. It's a prime example of how things go.
Mm-hmm.
You got to take the time to check and recheck.
Right.
And just because you see the same story on 5 or 6 different other websites or blogs still doesn't mean it's true.
That's right.
I always say when you see it on a major, credible news outlet, 99% chance is okay because before they report it, they're going to check into it. Now, a couple of times, you know, some of the major outlets have screwed up as well. But most of the time, the editors and the people in the background are checking these stories out before they run with it.
That's true.
I remember on April Fool's Day, and when Marvin Gaye was killed by his father, I was on the radio at WBMX on a Sunday. I was playing oldies, not dusties, oldies.
That's right. Clarify that. That's right. There's only a few dusty players out. You play all the oldies. I ain't gonna. You gotta come correct when you say dusty.
That's right. That's some fake Chicago stuff.
Man,
but
you about to have me shaking. About to go into a fit. He gonna start talking about now, man. What? But
a very good friend of mine who was a road manager for Marvin Gaye called me while I was on the air and told me Marvin Gaye was just shot by his father. Well, you know, it's April Fool's Day. So the first thing I said to, his name was Ralph. I said, Ralph, screw you, man. And I hung the phone up on him. He called me right back. He said, no, Lee, I'm serious, man. Marvin is dead. I said, yeah, okay, right. And today is April Fool's Day. April fool.
Right.
And I hung up on him again. After about the third time, he said, well, I can't say what he said. Negro, will you stop hanging up on me? I'm telling you the truth. I said, Ralph, I said, come on, man. Don't do that to me, because you know I'm going to go on the air with it. That's how you, he said, I swear to God, man, Marvin is dead. I'm here at the house. He's laying down on the floor. Boom, boom, boom. So went through all these details. And I mean, I knew the guy well enough to know that he wouldn't BS me to that degree.
Mm-hmm.
So I went with the story on the air. Now, I broke that story before the local news in LA broke it, because it had just happened. So, you know, everybody was calling me up, and I began to play nothing but Marvin Gaye tunes, you know, and people were calling me and saying, oh, Lee, that's a terrible joke, man. You need to stop that. Marvin ain't there. I said, hey, I'm telling you, I got it from a reliable source. And then the local TV station started calling, Channel 7 and so on. I said, yeah, it's real, so you can run with it. So, but see, most people are on the internet to gain an audience, to monetize it, to make money from it. So they make up shit that's sensational, and people go for it. And they'll share it, tell their friends, and everybody rushes to this website or YouTube or whatever it is, Facebook posts, and people are making money from that.
It's nothing new. That was a period in journalism. They called it yellow journalism. So,
Exactly.
So what? We got yellow internet now.
And clear. Fox, MSNBC, CNN. There's a little bit of journalism going on, news reporting, but it's more opinions. So they're commentators, not journalists.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
It's a big, huge difference.
Right.
Like what we're doing right now, we're not journalists. We're not reporting news.
Right.
We're talking about the news.
Right.
We're commentators. We're giving our opinions. Okay.
Right.
And just because you're on CNN or Fox or MSNBC, even CBS and NBC has gotten a little more away from journalism, but not as bad as the three major cable news networks. So they should be not even called news networks.
Mm-hmm.
Information and bullshit. But
yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying they're lying.
IBS.
They're spinning it.
Mm-hmm.
IBS.
And we saw it during the election.
Irritable bowel syndrome.
Yeah, we saw it during the election because Fox, you know, their desk confirmed before some of the other desks. I think AP was a little slow to call some of the states. We saw it during tallying the votes during this election season we just came out of.
Wait a minute. They
AP
get
was ahead of everybody.
AP. Yeah, AP feeding them.
Mm-hmm.
Right. They were using AP as their source.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but some of the CNN was very slow to call.
Yes.
You know, as well as some of the other networks that were out there. Just to the point that we were just talking about, I see some people in the news feed have just posted some of the sites where you can confirm some of the fake news that's floating around out there on the internet. And I want to thank all the people that are putting stuff up. Barbara Jean put something up, Iconic Limo. They put up a site where you can confirm information to determine whether or not it's real or not. So, you know, these are some places where you can go and just, you know, do your homework. Wikipedia is not real, you all. Sometimes Wikipedia it gets too much credit. You know, the things that show up on Wikipedia is inputted by its members. Okay. And sometimes that stuff is not real. Some of it is, some of it isn't. You know,
you can go in and add your information to any Wikipedia unless they have it locked. But it used to be, let's say if I go there and read something on Marvin Gaye, I can go in and edit that.
Mm-hmm.
Update it.
Yeah.
So they tell you at the bottom. They tell you at the bottom this citation or this information needs more information. They offer you to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean that's the way that's designed. So that's cool, man. But media literacy is something that it needs to be like some type of course. Because you need to have just some type of course, fact checking course. Just so you know, because it's a lot of our people, and when I say our people, I mean a lot of American people, they're caught in the time zone where they were, and like when you used to get when person would get the newspaper, that was like the Bible, newspaper can't be wrong. But you come to find out newspapers was retracting and correcting stuff all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's scary when you hear the guy on the streets or some of the late night TV shows. They'll send a guy out and ask questions of people on the streets, and it's so frightening how ignorant a lot of people are, and how they form their opinions on the various current events. It's scary, man, because people just believe whatever they hear, see, or read and take it to be the truth. And I beg you, don't do that. Don't believe everything that you see and hear. Take your time, go investigate it, look it up, and cross-check it and make sure that it's real. Facts check. And don't go out and regurgitate some BS because you'll look like a fool.
Right. Sean, look up on the news feed. You'll see a couple of locations where you can fact check. He asked the question, where is that information at? Just look up on the news feed, and you'll see some of the locations to be able to double check some of the lies that appear on the World Wide Web. We'll just say it like that,
Right.
I must add, from the words of one of the immortal poets, Flavor of Flav, who simply said, don't believe the hype.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Right, absolutely.
Yeah.
We must look.
The internet has made us really lazy too, because anything you want to know about, you can Google it or go to YouTube. YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world. Google is the first. And the information, there's so much information out there, but much of it is bogus or half true.
It's a killer documentary that's out. It's called The Social Dilemma. And I gotta check this out, where this young documentarian, he examines how the effects of this convenience media and this whatever it is, how it's taken away from us doing the traditional things, and how we've got into this social bubble, into where it is we're not reading books anymore, all the good things that we know about. And so I got to check that out. But that's called The Social Dilemma. Bill Maher interviewed the cat on Friday. I'm gonna look at the replay so I can get that name and really check that out. Because I like reading books like that, laid out like that. Because the internet does, and it does have its advantages, and it does has its disadvantages, and we need to know that. See, I think one of the things that really tripped and slanted the IBS, as Lee so aptly, Base aptly said that. Was it information and BS, IBS? Information and
bullshit, and I call it irritable bowel syndrome.
Yeah, the IBS. I think that the elimination of the fairness doctrine might have contributed heavily to this new type of propaganda that we're subject to. Because the fairness doctrine, if you had one side, you had to deal with the other side. You had to put that out. And and then that equal time thing, Lee, you know about that we used to have to do. And those things don't happen. So I'm gonna look to see if there are any studies on that, because it seemed like the conservatives, they accepted that because they hiding behind the First Amendment, and behind this First Amendment thing, they feel like they have the right to blow your mind with anything that they say. And even the opposing viewpoints, they done program the opposing viewpoints. For example, the brothers that be on the brothers that are interviewed by Sean Hannity. I mean, these cats are programmed, man. They program.
And most of the pundits or spokespeople for the various candidates and the Trump people took it to an all-time high of saying the same stuff over and over again to make sure that they brainwash the viewers or the listeners in terms of what they want you to know, but they don't answer the damn question. It could be a very simple question. Is Trump going to have another rally next week? And they won't answer that question. They'll say 15 other things.
Yeah.
And the reporter will sit there and goes, will you please answer the damn question? That's what I would say.
And the first line is they're going to blame it on the Democrats. Whatever it is, they're going to go to the left. And this playbook is like so obvious. I'm sitting up there. When I go to look at Fox, when I go look at that network, I'm looking there for comic relief.
I had not watched Fox in almost 2 years, maybe a little longer than that, because they just didn't make sense. But right up before the election, I began to go over there, and especially after the election night and the days after, they kind of toned it down a bit. They toned it down
a lot. They turned it down a lot.
Shit, we're behind this because he's dumping a lot of crap back here for me to step in.
Yeah,
except for Hannity and Tucker.
Yeah, well, Tucker, I can't take that guy. I haven't watched Hannity, and I don't know when. But Tucker, he's way over the top.
Well, going to what you said about real quick about Fox News and the fairness doctrine of Professor. Let's go back years ago when all that was going on about equal sighting. When that stopped, that gave birth to a Rush Limbaugh, backed by Roger Ailes. Roger Ailes was the man that was the money man behind Rush Limbaugh. He started doing a syndicated radio show. And then, of course, he went on to create Fox News, brought in Sean Hannity and people like that to create for that audience. When you create for that audience, that's all you do. You keep feeding it to them. Like you said before, comic relief or how you see it. You know what the he is before you return to Fox News because you know the routine. You know it's going to be a gut buster because you could quote them chapter and verse just as well, if not better, than they on their playbook. If you want a he, go to Fox News and you would definitely get one.
The last 10 minutes on those talking heads, they out for the times that was on there. And I looked at it 4 days, going in at the last quarter, right? That's when the brothers come out.
Oh yeah, you got to parade the brothers out there because you see, the black guy said it, that it must be true. They do it all the time. Tucker Carlson. So Tucker Carlson a couple of months ago was up for a controversy for saying something wrong about the coronavirus. He was very mean-spirited. That's what he does. And also the fact that he was not sensitive to the deaths in this country. So they were pressuring me and Fox to start firing people. First of all, fire Tucker. So they didn't fire Tucker. They fired Diamond and Silk. See, they were put on the Fox News radio. And they had a daily show. They said, okay, we're going to fire, our golden boy. Let's fire the negresses and fire those two. So you fire Topsy and Bopsy and get them out the picture.
Yeah.
I want to say something to Jesse Terrero, who is a broadcaster and colleague, and I guess he's a friend, but you owe me $100 and I want my money. Okay.
Hey, Lee, we got people in every town now, man. We can go get your money, bro.
I know where all your houses are. You can't outrun me. Now,
we can go get your money, bro. Look, we got people everywhere now.
He beat me out of $200 on the 2016 election, but I came back with $100. So you still owe me. I'm still in the hole 100, but you can send it to Cash App, Venmo, Zelle. I got them all. I ain't taking no checks though. Cash or just direct deposit.
That's right. And also real quick about Lee's shirt that everybody's seeing now, no good trouble about John Lewis. It reminds us of the giants we lost during this time. We've lost John Lewis, we lost C.T. Vivian, Joseph Lowry, Elijah Cummings. They also got to throw in Chief Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. I mean, we lost a lot of monumental people. And to see what happened this past election goes to show you what they fought for. When you saw the jubilation of people out in droves with early voting throughout this nation, this is what they fought for. Also, special shout out to, of course, it's great to say this, Vice President, Madam Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. Again, coming from a mixed background, being the first, as a professor would say, the first sister to hold the office, to be an inspiration to women of color, to people, no matter who you are, to show you that if you do believe, it just might come to fruition and it just might come true. And also for the shout out to Stacey Abrams. Stacey Abrams now is the lightning rod that the DNC needs. That sister is bad. She's super bad. So there's rumor about her getting a cabinet position with the Biden administration, or she'll become the chair of the DNC, or she'll wait 2 years and run for the governorship of Georgia.
One more time.
All right now.
She's got the ground game, in place, so she should have some pretty good success. I would love to see the two Senate positions to go towards the Democrats. Listen, we have to balance our government. One party cannot have full control of everything. That's not in our best interest, because we know, especially our career politicians on both sides of the aisle, by the way, are in there for not necessarily for your best interest.
That's right.
And I will say one more time to the people in the state of Kentucky, what has your boy done for you? I'm talking about Mitch McConnell. Think about that. And the next time his behind comes up for re-election, really examine how much bacon has he put on your table? What has he done for the people in Kentucky? That's what he goes to Washington to ensure, to make sure that you're taken care of, as well as your House of Representatives. Same thing in South Carolina, the same thing in every state. And I don't give a damn whether you're Republican, Independent, or Democrat. If you're not serving the people who hired you, who voted for you, then you're performing a disservice for those people. If you're in there for your own gain, you go in there, maybe you're worth $500,000 or $1 million. Most of them are lawyers. And you come out 15, 20 years later on a salary that you're getting to be a senator or a House of Representative. How in the hell are you worth 20, 30, 40 $1 million?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So is that a pitch and a bid for term limits? Is that what you're putting out there? Is that a pitch for that?
That would be nice to have it automatic, but there is a time limit. If you don't like what your senator or House of Representative,
just vote them out.
Vote them out.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Why leave them in there for 2 or 3, sessions?
That's
one shot. One shot. Give them one damn shot. If they don't perform, out of there. Turn them off.
That's why it's important. It's vitally important that we resolve into holding our politicians accountable for my vote. You have to now give me a reason to vote for you or to support you again. There's no more blind stuff. See, I listen, I'm like, and I go back and I'll say this again. I'm cool with the dems and the reps. I'm cool with the dem coms and the rep cons. The dem cons and rep cons, okay? I'm cool with that. So, but I would like to have black cons.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Look, I hear what you're saying, brother. So we got to get report cards on the people that we got in office.
That's right.
And make them accountable.
That's right.
For what their report card says about them.
Right.
And I see we were talking about 45 earlier, and Lee got up on the screen. Trump refuses to concede, no plans to invite. But as we said that at the opening of the show.
You know what's funny is, I don't think Biden is saying, damn, man, he won't let me come to the White House. Biden went to the White House every day for 8 years.
Right.
So it's like a big
ain't hurting
deal.
his feelings.
Exactly. He probably knows the landscape of the White House better than Trump.
Man, this is like all of that, all of his antics are a waste of time. We cannot, if you living in a, listen, we can't live in Trezaro land. We can't live there because that's his domain and he could have it. He can have it.
So now look, Chris and Professor, y'all got to explain, because see, people might be on here that wasn't here the other night. They don't know what Trezaro land is. You got to tell them. Y'all got to explain that to them, Chris.
All right.
Chris, you and the professor came up with that.
Well, I yield to the professor. I just said for me, I start off with this. If you're a fan of back in the day when your mother, your parents read you, lullabies and stories to go for you to go to sleep, Alice in Wonderland. So you either went through the looking glass or went down the rabbit hole. Everything that was sensical was nonsense. Everything that made sense all of a sudden was in reverse. And so the professor proved that theory about Superman, and I'll give it to you from there.
Well, Superman, Lex Luthor had created this character. It was like a Frankenstein Superman, okay? But he couldn't get him to have the righteousness of the real Superman. He did everything opposite of Superman. So 45 is actually doing everything opposite of what a real president does. So Bizarro was his name. So all I did was put the TR in front and said Izzaro. So I call it Trezaro. Because this man is doing everything opposite of what a real politician at this time would be doing. This man is supposed to be preparing to leave because, as Chris said about the Harlem Nights, we would have paid you, or you would have got yours if you won, but you lost. So he lost.
Yeah.
So Mr. Trump is saying, he's saying, Joe Biden, you not president, me president.
Right.
You did not win election. I won election. All votes were for me. For me. Those late votes were not right votes. Not right votes. Polls closed. And then the court got the fact that there was early voting, which he didn't tell his people to get into.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He didn't.
Exactly.
He was saying, "Oh, you ain't got to worry about that, man. We're gonna all vote on the day of the election," which was cool. The name of the game is you ask for it. Sometimes you overplay your hand, and
bad strategy.
And in this case, this man overplayed his hand because he went to sleep on the black female. He went to sleep on them. Put up the image. Put up the image again, Lee. You went to sleep. He went to sleep on it and did not know. You even got that image is putting tears in the eyes of white women, because that image is saying to every little girl, you can do it. Because just like the vice president said, okay, her mother always told her, you could be the first, but don't think you're going to be the last.
Right.
That's right.
You know,
Well, let's. I'm sorry, go
Doors
ahead.
and let me in. But see, you know what? That's been part of the fear of society, opening up the door for people to have an opportunity at something they've never had access to. And that's why they've been trying to hold people back, whether you're Black, Hispanic, Asian, whatever. And, you know, this is America. America is a melting pot. We have people here from all parts of the world. And that's really what kind of makes us great, because we have all of these different ideas and cultures and brands and feelings and emotions and religion and political beliefs. That's what makes us great. We don't live under a dictator. And unfortunately, our current president tried to turn his position into something like that. And he just didn't get it. I mean, he didn't come in for the right reasons, plain and simple. And that's why he lost.
Yeah.
You know, I think if the COVID virus hadn't hit, it would have been a tight race, but I think he still would have lost because people were tired of it. Yeah.
Now I got this question. I haven't fact checked this, but I'm hearing that. You know, I've heard. Now I'm not sure. I've seen this on one news, but I'm gonna go back and look at it again. But they're talking about the New York Attorney General is waiting for the 20th so they can lay some wood on him, because so they can lay some law on him, because he won't have that presidential immunity anymore.
Yeah, state of New York.
Right.
That's why he moved to Florida for a couple of reasons, to get away from the New York Attorney General, and he figured if he had an address in Florida that would help him win Florida, but I don't think that had anything to do with it. It's just that he was a better salesman and bullshitter and liar and convinced the people in Florida that he was the man for the job. Unfortunately, folks that voted for him down in Florida, you were wrong. And he courted the right people. I think a significant percentage of the Cuban vote went for him. Mm-hmm. But see, Cubans are not like Mexicans or Puerto Ricans or people from Central America. They kind of look at themselves a little bit differently. There's a real cultural difference between the Cubans and the other Latin or Hispanic nations. And, you know, they bought into it because I guess something was promised.
Is there a Trump hotel in Cuba? Is there a Trump hotel in Cuba?
He does. No, but I think he would love to have one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And just to dovetail
by opening up the relationships with Cuba. And I mean, you can go to Cuba right now, go there for vacation.
No, I think he closed that back off. I think he closed it back off.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah. He shot himself in the foot. He should have gone up there and got friendly with the other Castro brother and then worked out a hotel deal.
So,
he closed it off. Yeah.
So this dude took the highest office in the land. This dude took the highest office in the land and was running his business through that. Now, that lets me know right off the bat that a businessman does not have any idea of what governance is. And what this country needs now is governance. It doesn't need another businessman, because all the businessman is going to do is cut to make more profit.
For himself.
That's right. He going to cut and so he can make more profit for himself. And what's the first thing that's going to go in any business? That's the human expense. That's what it is, the healthcare and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. This boy was doomed, and he didn't realize he was doomed when the unions turned on him. And the unions didn't say nothing. They just let him think. But then they got wise, and they realized, why should I be supporting an owner who doesn't want to pay no union wages. He doesn't want to do anything for my people or nothing like that. You got me the first time, but you're not going to get me the second time. I'm not going to let you make a fool out of me. And then the top union guys say, well, we know Joe. We know Joe. So this cat was doomed, and he didn't look at all that because he was playing on fear. Yeah, he was playing on fear, and I'm going to stop feeding into that racism. I know it exists, but I'm going to try to move because I got to quit reminding them there's power in the words.
True.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And let's not lose sight.
The fear.
Yeah, because right. I don't want because I already know if you're a Trezaro supporter, I know to go in the opposite direction from you in a hurry. I ain't wasting no time. It's like the days in Chicago. When you walking, if you walking and you getting close to Canaryville, and you black, and you hear that, if you hear him shout out the N word real loud, you know to run for your life.
Right.
Because when they say it, and they gonna say it real loud, and everybody that's in that area, when they hear that N word, they're gonna come after you.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is gonna come after you because they're gonna try to get you to teach you a lesson. So you ain't got to tell me that now. You know, I look when I know. That's Canaryville. I'm not going nowhere over there. We have to be wise. We have to be wise now and look at these people. Look at everyone, network, and look at them and find out who's going to do something for us other than hurt us.
One thing in every election cycle, there's a new strategy that's implemented typically by both parties. Mm-hmm. And technology drives a lot of that. And in this particular election cycle, because of the COVID-19, voting absentee or by mail or dropping it off became a big deal. I think that voting process is not going to go away. I think people will prefer doing it versus standing in line on one day, or even with the early voting, because the early voting was even backed up in most places. But here's what I think is going to happen. And every state needs to start working now to prepare for the processing of the ballots as they come in on a daily basis. That way, on the night of the election, you will have already counted all of the mail-in or early voting, and all that's tabulated. Nobody needs to know. It just needs to be put into the machine, into the computer. Boom, it's done. So as soon as a poll closes in your area, they know they can hit a button and put that information out immediately. So the only thing they're counting at that point are the ballots that are coming in that day. That needs to be unified across America. Every state needs to embrace that process to avoid the delay that we're dealing with now. And not that you need to certify the vote at the end of that night, but you still got to go in and do your fact checking to make sure that the last minute ballots are kosher and everybody signed up right and it's not fake and all the little stuff that can take another day or two just to certify those things. But we've got to work a little smarter. And like Nevada, I don't think Nevada is finished yet. And
not yet.
Most states are not. But they're still counting, tens of thousands of ballots. That's BI. That's bovine. And that needs to change. Yeah. So I appeal to every governor, every secretary of state to fix that problem so that we can eliminate any confusion and great delays in situations that we're faced with now when a candidate says, well, you cheated because, I was ahead. It's worse than a school kid. I was ahead, at 11 o'clock at night, and then you start finding votes. No, dumbass. Those votes were done before the 3rd, and they had to be counted. But see, he had already put the poison pill out there and saying it was a rigged election and they're going to cheat and the ballots are, it's a bad idea to do the voting by mail and blah, 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 blah. So he had already set up the excuse that he was going to fail. And I think he knew he was going to fail because he screwed up on the COVID.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And all the other lies that he's been telling for the last 4 or 5 years. With that, ladies and gentlemen, you guys have any closing remarks?
Yeah, well, Chris been trying to get in for the last 20 minutes.
Well, you better speak up.
Shit. Please. Okay. Okay. You try to talk between y'all three. All right. Okay. Go speak. Shit. All right, here I go. Well, I was saying earlier about the ballots. You also got to factor in the military ballots and the overseas ballots as well. That are the deadline that's coming up on Tuesday, November 10th. So those haven't been counted yet. So again, going back to what we said about Trump Lee, it's about accuracy, not speed, when it comes to this. And he can't take it. And he's probably right. He probably knew, that his days were numbered anyway. He just didn't want to come to realization of it. Also, the fact that let us not lose sight of the following. After Trump leaves January 20th of 2021 at noon Eastern time, he will no longer have protection of the Department of Justice policy. So a sitting president cannot be indicted. Once that time hits, everybody's coming for him, and he knows it.
Totally.
They don't have a paddy wagon waiting for him outside of the.
Totally.
That's right.
Because they're not gonna be able to trust him to turn himself in. I promise you.
Giuliani can't help him.
Look. Let me get this little teaser out there if I can. What you guys have seen since election night is what has been titled The Four Horsemen by my brother and broadcaster, Mr. Chris Bass. And we have come together and decided that we're going to come together, the four of us, on a weekly basis. That's every Tuesday night around 8 p.m. Central Standard.
Thursday night.
I said Tuesday. I'm sorry. Yep. Thursday night. Thursday night. And I'm looking right at my note here. Yeah. On Thursday night around 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. So we're going to be coming together every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, and come together and give you our flavor of the news, okay? And we want to get you guys to spread the word, tell somebody. We're going to be here right here on the Street News Network, and we're going to be doing what we do, and I'm looking forward to it. I know my colleagues are, and we're going to do what we do. We kind of good at it, y'all. So we just going to make it blow up, and be all that it can be,
Now, 3 points of truth and 1 point of conspiracy theory.
Always. Always.
The professor of conspiracy.
Yes. Well, look, with that being said, if you just tuned in, you're late. We've been on the air for an hour and 35 minutes. We've been here doing a conclusion to the presidential election. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done, and we're willing to get on the air and encourage you all to get involved with what needs to be done. And I want to thank the legend himself for inviting us all on his network to be a part of what we've been doing, Mr. Lee Micheals. And I'm looking forward to coming together and doing this on a regular basis with him on a weekly basis. Also want to thank my brother in broadcasting, Mr. Chris Bass, the Bass, for hanging out with us and being a part of this maiden voyage. And I appreciate him. Also, my other good brother in broadcasting, Professor Reggie Micheals. I can't thank him enough for taking time out of his multitude of broadcasting events that he does and being a part of this maiden voyage. And I couldn't think of anything better to do with my time than hang out with these guys. I'm Dr. Ron. Please go over and check out my website, ask-dr-ron.com. You notice I didn't say it, I spelled it this time because they got on me the other night at midnight, so so I was ready this time. So I'm going to toss it out there so everybody can have their final words, and we're going to throw it back to the legend and let him get us out of here so we can all go chill because the election is over with.
Amen.
Go ahead, fellas.
All right. Number one, focus on getting ourselves right and holding the people that we elect accountable. We can't put it all in the hands of Mr. Biden or the Democrats or whatever. Any politician that we vote for, hey, we got to do the Janet Jackson, what have you done for me lately? Also, big ups to the city of Philadelphia. Okay, came through, dropping Pennsylvania. Also, to the sisters, and I should have said this first, but I'm going to say it again. I'm going to say it now. To the sisters, to the Black women and to the white women that quietly we wielded a huge stick bringing support behind Mr. Biden. You've got the first African-American female in the White House. That's huge. That is huge. The AKAs, the sororities, the fraternities, the HBCUs, every one of them are proud and all this over this accomplishment. And we gotta hold her accountable to everybody. And the only thing that I just big ups to him. I bow down and I'm bowing down to the women. It made me get inspired to want to help out with the movement going forward. And I yield the rest of my time to one of my colleagues.
Thank you, Senator.
Oh, okay. I'll shut up again.
Go ahead, Chris.
No, I thought it was going to be me, then the legend, but okay.
Go ahead, Chris.
All right, okay, take two. All right, here we go. As I see the celebration and jubilee of people from coast to coast enjoying the victory of President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris, don't get a celebration-itis. Don't get CI, celebration-itis. Don't have that. The future is now. Change starts with you. Take this as a time to reflect, as a time to make decisions that will affect not only your lives, the lives of your family, the lives of your sons and daughters and granddaughters and grandsons and everybody else in your family and friends. We have to do some hard work, and it's not easy to do hard work. Roll up your sleeves and be prepared because the time is now. Seize it, embrace it, do what you can, always question authority. Don't take everything for granted. Have the mind that you have to use to help yourself and help others. The only way we're going to make it is to get on board with one mission statement. The mission statement is to, first of all, be pro your own and not anti anybody else.
I love that. Thank you guys for being here tonight and looking forward to doing it every Thursday at 8 p.m. Central Time as a part of the Street News Now Network. I'm Lee Micheals, and I don't have anything else to say other than thank you for being here. Go ahead and like, share, and spread the word around. We're going to build this network up to be a credible place for you to come get information. And it's not going to just be just four talking heads here. There are other shows in the making as well. So we welcome you and your points of view and reporters from around the world. Until next Thursday, we'll see you then. Be safe. And remember, we've got a new president. Celebrate in peace. Celebrate in peace. Welcome others who didn't vote for Joe Biden and Kamala. We are the United States of America. First.